Deathworlder Cadets astound alien generals by completing year-long survival challenge in just one day. In the vast expanse of the galaxy, on a distant planet known as Zealer Prime, alien civilizations thrived under the strict hierarchies of their militaries. Among these powers, the Zerthian Alliance was renowned for its advanced technology and formidable warriors, each trained to face the myriad dangers of their homeworlds. But nothing prepared the Zerthian generals for the unprecedented event that was about to unfold. The interspecies competition had been declared a grand spectacle, a year-long survival challenge where the best cadets from various species would be pitted against the most treacherous environments the Zerthian military could concoct. While the other races had sent their elite, the Zerthians were intrigued by one particular group, the human Deathworlder cadets. Humans were infamous for their resilience and adaptability, traits that made them formidable opponents in any survival scenario. As the day of reckoning approached, the alien generals gathered to observe the event. They were confident in their own cadets, who had trained for months in the harshest terrains, from arid deserts to freezing tundras. The atmosphere was thick with anticipation, each general keenly aware that this challenge would reveal not only the skills of the participants but also the limits of their own understanding of survival. The survival arena was an engineered environment, designed to simulate a year's worth of perilous conditions condensed into a single day. This included fluctuating temperatures, lethal wildlife, and an array of traps that tested the cadets' physical prowess and mental acuity. The Zerthian generals had ensured that their own cadets were ready for every conceivable scenario, while secretly doubting the humans' chances against such odds. As the competition began, the alien spectators observed with narrowed eyes. The human cadets, unperturbed by the overwhelming challenges, sprang into action with a peculiar blend of instinct and strategy. Their training had not just prepared them for physical trials, they were masters of improvisation, using whatever resources were at their disposal. One human cadet, a wiry young man named Jake, emerged as a natural leader. With quick thinking, he rallied his fellow cadets, devising tactics that utilized their unique skills, while the alien cadets stumbled through the obstacles, struggling with the unpredictability of the environment. Jake and his team flourished, using their raw instincts to turn every danger into an opportunity. The generals exchanged glances, their expressions shifting from skepticism to astonishment. As the hours passed, it became clear that the Deathworlders were not merely surviving, they were thriving. They transformed the hostile terrain into their playground, outsmarting traps and overcoming challenges that had been designed to break their spirits. With each passing hour, the reality set in for the Zerthian generals. These humans were not just participants, they were a force to be reckoned with. As the sun began to dip below the horizon, casting eerie shadows over the survival arena, the cadets had completed an astounding series of challenges. They had effectively mastered the impossible, defying the expectations set upon them. The countdown clock ticked down to its final moments, and the Zerthian generals braced themselves for the inevitable outcome. Would the human cadets truly complete a year-long survival test in a single day? As the final buzzer sounded, an electrifying silence fell over the crowd. The generals, once skeptical, now stood in stunned disbelief, their worldview forever altered by the resilience and ingenuity of the human Deathworlders. As the echoes of the buzzer faded, the arena erupted into a cacophony of cheers and confusion. The human cadets, their faces a mix of exhaustion and exhilaration, gathered at the center of the arena. The Zerthian generals, still grappling with the shock of what they had witnessed, stepped forward to acknowledge the extraordinary feat. General Calvar, a towering figure adorned in ceremonial armor, raised his hand for silence. His voice boomed across the arena, resonating with authority. Cadets of the Zerthian Alliance, we have just witnessed a performance that defies all expectations. Today, the human Deathworlders have not only survived but have completed what we deemed impossible. Jake, still panting from the day's exertions, stepped forward. He was a representation of his fellow cadets, embodying the spirit of human tenacity. We didn't just survive, he said, his voice steady despite the fatigue. We adapted. In our world, every day is a challenge, and we learn to thrive in chaos. The alien generals exchanged glances, their minds racing to comprehend the implications of Jake's words. They had always viewed humans through a lens of curiosity mixed with condescension, believing their fragile forms and emotional nature would be their downfall. But the display of resilience they had just witnessed shattered those preconceived notions. General Calvar continued, "Your performance today challenges our understanding of survival. We must acknowledge that the skills we thought were exclusive to our kind are not limited to the Xerthian race. You have much to teach us." As the crowd began to disperse, a hushed murmur of respect spread among the Xerthian soldiers. This was a pivotal moment that marked the beginning of a new chapter in interspecies relations. The human cadets had proven that they were not just allies but formidable equals in the galaxy's ever-evolving power dynamics. With the competition concluded, the generals invited Jake and his fellow cadets to join them for a formal debriefing. It was an unprecedented opportunity, one that would provide the humans with insight into the Xerthian military and allow them to forge stronger bonds. During the meeting, the generals shared their philosophies of warfare and survival. While Jake spoke of the unpredictable nature of Earth's ecosystems, he recounted tales of nature's extremes, hurricanes, earthquakes, and predators that roamed their lands. Each story resonated with the Xerthians, who found parallels between their own harsh environments and the challenges faced by the humans. As the discussion deepened, a surprising revelation emerged. The Xerthians had long believed that their advanced technology was the key to survival. However, the humans' instinctual approaches challenged that belief. They began to see the value in embracing unpredictability and adaptability, traits that the humans exemplified so well. Over the following days, the relationship between the human cadets and the Xerthian military flourished. Training sessions were scheduled, where both groups exchanged techniques and philosophies. The cadets collaborated on survival exercises that combined human ingenuity with Xerthian precision, creating a hybrid training program that would strengthen their combined forces. However, beneath the camaraderie lay a growing tension. Other alien factions, observing the newfound alliance, felt threatened by the potential power shift. Whispers of discord began to circulate, hinting at old rivalries that had long been buried. As the human cadets adapted to their new environment, they couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. They were no longer just participants in a competition. They were becoming key players in a broader galactic narrative, one that would test their strength and resolve beyond the survival challenges they had already conquered. Unbeknownst to them, a shadowy figure watched from the outskirts of the military encampment. Commander the Rex, a cunning strategist from a rival faction, was determined to exploit the situation. The unity forged between humans and Xerthians threatened his ambitions, and he would stop at nothing to disrupt their alliance. With every step the humans took toward collaboration, the galaxy edged closer to a confrontation that would challenge not only their survival skills but their very existence. The days turned into weeks, and the bond between the human cadets and Xerthian soldiers grew stronger. Training exercises transformed into exchanges of knowledge, where both sides learned to appreciate each other's strengths. The humans taught the Xerthians about improvisation, quick thinking, and the art of using limited resources effectively. In return, the Xerthians shared their advanced technological insights and combat strategies. Yet, the looming threat of Commander the Rex and his faction remained a constant undercurrent. The Rex, known for his cold-blooded tactics and ambitious plans, saw the growing alliance as a direct challenge to his power. He assembled a covert team of elite operatives, plotting to sabotage the burgeoning relationship between humans and Xerthians. One evening, as the sun set behind the jagged mountains of Zealer Prime, Jake and a few fellow cadets were engaged in a strategic simulation with Xerthian officers. The room was filled with holographic displays of terrain maps and enemy positions. Amid the serious discussion, Jake noticed a flicker of concern in General Kalvar's eyes. "General," Jake said, leaning forward, "is everything all right?" Kalvar's brow furrowed, a sign of his growing anxiety. "We have received troubling reports. There are whispers of dissent among the other factions, and I fear they may be plotting something against us." Jake exchanged glances with his fellow cadets, a mix of determination and concern written on their faces. "What can we do to help? We're not just here to train, we're here to fight alongside you." The general nodded, appreciating the spirit of the human cadets. "Your willingness to assist is commendable. However, you must be cautious. If Commander the Rex perceives you as a threat, he may act rashly. I suggest we prepare for the worst while hoping for the best." That night, a sense of unease settled over the camp. The cadets, accustomed to facing danger, found themselves grappling with an unfamiliar type of fear. They were no longer in a controlled environment. They were part of a larger game, and the stakes were rising. As the days passed, the Xerthians implemented enhanced security measures, but the Rex was cunning. He orchestrated distractions, deploying skirmishes in nearby territories to draw attention away from his true intentions. Under the cover of chaos, he sent his operatives to infiltrate the military encampment. One evening, as Jake and his fellow cadets were wrapping up their training session, an explosion rocked the perimeter of the camp. The ground trembled beneath them, and the shrill alarm of sirens pierced the air. Panic erupted as Xerthian soldiers scrambled to their posts, their training taking over in a flurry of movement. "Everyone, stay together," Jake shouted, rallying his fellow cadets. "We need to protect each other and the base." In the chaos, they quickly organized themselves, remembering the lessons they had learned. The human cadets worked seamlessly with Xerthian soldiers, moving as one cohesive unit. They had transformed from mere participants in a survival challenge into skilled fighters ready to face the unknown. As they engaged the attackers, it became clear that the infiltrators were unlike any foes they had faced before. The operatives moved with an uncanny efficiency, their methods ruthless and calculated. Jake found himself in a brutal skirmish with one of the attackers, their combat styles clashing violently. In the midst of the fray, a familiar figure appeared. General Calvar, wielding his plasma blade with practiced precision, fought alongside the cadets. "Stay close, humans! We must protect the command center," he shouted, slashing through a group of operatives. Fueled by adrenaline and the desire to prove themselves, the human cadets fought with everything they had. They used their environment to their advantage, setting traps and ambushes that caught the infiltrators off guard. The air crackled with tension as the battle raged on, each side vying for control. Just when it seemed that the tide might turn in favor of the Xerthians and humans, Commander the Rex revealed himself. He stood on a nearby ridge, his voice echoing through a communication device. "You think you can unite against me? Your alliance is fragile, and today, I will shatter it." The sight of the commander ignited a fire within Jake. "We won't let you destroy what we've built," he shouted, rallying his fellow cadets. With renewed determination, the human cadets, alongside the Xerthians, launched a counter-offensive. They coordinated their efforts, employing the strategies they had practiced together. The clash reached a fever pitch, with the fate of their newfound alliance hanging in the balance. As the battle wore on, the combined forces of humans and Xerthians pushed back against their X's operatives. The intensity of the fighting only fueled their resolve, forging a bond that would transcend species. They fought not just for survival but for the unity they had come to value. In a climactic showdown, Jake faced off against one of their X's top operatives. The struggle was fierce, each blow landing with a resounding impact. But the human cadets were not alone. Xerthian soldiers provided crucial support, allowing Jake to outmaneuver his opponent. With a final burst of energy, Jake delivered a decisive strike that incapacitated the operative. Breathing heavily, he turned to see General Calvar battling the Rex himself, the two leaders locked in a fierce duel that would determine the fate of the alliance. In that moment, Jake realized that this battle was not just a test of skill but a defining moment for their interspecies relationship. They had proven themselves in the face of adversity, and together, they could forge a new future against any threat. As the battle raged on, the stakes reached a breaking point. Jake, adrenaline coursing through his veins, joined the fray to assist General Calvar in his confrontation with Commander the Rex. The two leaders clashed with a ferocity that shook the very ground beneath them, each strike echoing the tension of their conflicting ambitions. Jake's instincts kicked in, and he strategized quickly. "General, we need to flank him," he shouted, gesturing to a group of Xerthian soldiers nearby. The general nodded, a glimmer of respect in his eyes for the young human's leadership. "Cadets, follow Jake," Calvar commanded, and the human cadets surged forward, their resolve unwavering. The combined forces of humans and Xerthians moved as one, weaving around their X's attackers while maintaining focus on their target. With a well-coordinated maneuver, they encircled the commander, cutting off his escape routes. The Rex, realizing he was losing ground, sneered and unleashed a barrage of plasma fire, but the united front proved too strong. In a moment of distraction, Jake seized the opportunity. He lunged forward, tackling the Rex to the ground. The commander fought back fiercely, but Jake's determination was fueled by the desire to protect his newfound allies and the hope of a brighter future for their alliance. "Together," Jake shouted, urging his comrades to help him subdue the Rex. The Xerthians responded with synchronized precision, and soon the commander found himself outnumbered. With a final surge of energy, they restrained the Rex, ensuring he could no longer pose a threat. General Calvar stood over him, breathing heavily, but his expression was one of triumph. "Your ambition ends here, Commander. You will answer for your treachery. As the dust settled, the battlefield grew eerily quiet. The combined forces had emerged victorious, but it had come at a cost. The camp bore the scars of the conflict, yet the spirit of unity shone through the debris. The cadets stood shoulder to shoulder with Xerthian soldiers, each acknowledging the strength they found in one another. In the aftermath, the generals held a meeting to address the future. The Rex was detained, and the Xerthian alliance swiftly moved to quell any lingering dissent among their ranks. They recognized the necessity of fostering this newfound alliance, not only for their survival but for the potential to reshape the power dynamics of the galaxy. General Kalvar turned to Jake and the human cadets. You have proven yourselves today not only as warriors but as allies. Our worlds are forever intertwined, and together we can confront any threat that emerges. Jake felt a swell of pride. We're all in this together now. We've learned so much from each other, and we can build something extraordinary. The humans and Xerthians began collaborative efforts to fortify their defenses and prepare for the future. They shared their knowledge, training techniques, and strategies, working side by side as equals. The camaraderie that blossomed in the heat of battle became the foundation for a partnership that would endure. Weeks later, a ceremony was held to commemorate their victory and honor the sacrifices made. Soldiers from both factions stood in formation, a symbol of their unity. As General Kalvar spoke of their shared triumph, Jake couldn't help but reflect on the journey that had brought them to this moment. They had entered this competition as strangers, each representing their worlds and cultures. Now, they stood as a formidable alliance, ready to face whatever challenges awaited them in the vastness of space. As the ceremony concluded, Jake caught the eyes of his fellow cadets, a silent acknowledgement of their shared experience. They had transformed from mere participants in a survival challenge into warriors, defenders of a new era. The future loomed ahead, full of uncertainties, but one thing was clear: the bond forged in the crucible of conflict would withstand the tests of time. Together, they would navigate the complexities of the galaxy, proving that even the most diverse races could unite to face the unknown. As the stars twinkled overhead, a new chapter began for the humans and Xerthians, a chapter filled with hope, resilience, and the promise of a brighter future.